Hi, Rebecca. I can't hear you.
Marcela,
Hi, nice to see you.
you too.
I love that background. Is that virtual or is that your place? Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
no, not my place.
I love it.
It looks pretty, doesn't it?
It does. So hopefully someone else will show up, but if not, we can talk about it. There's another meeting after this one, so you know.
Hold on one second. I'm debating whether or not Nick's going to join too.
Okay. When I open my door for a minute, I'm just so hot. I think it's my age. Did you say that Nick is going to join too?
Maybe.
Huh?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Well, I'm just going to start, so we're going to start talking to make it official. If someone comes in later, that's fine. Are you going to attend the next meeting?
This evening, yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm trying to do. And so, in this meeting, it's it cuts off at like 40 minutes. So,
Oh, good.
unfortunately, I mean, it will cut me off as the host, and you guys, if you're still on, you will be able to stay on. Okay, so this is the EV charging stations meeting. It is 6:33 p.m. and we are here to discuss to revisit the prices for the EV charging stations. If I'm not mistaken, we submitted some prices, which was 25 cents per kilowatt for residents and $1 was, I think, yeah, it was $1. No, Mr. Mosco said $1.50. We submitted last time for non-residents. And during the last board meeting, there were some board members, excuse me, and I think other residents who felt that we could increase the price for non-residents to deter them from coming here and charge. And so this is why this meeting is being held. Did you have any thoughts on that yourself, Rebecca?
I mean, even though we have to list ourselves, I don't anticipate a lot of outside usage. It's not a convenient location unless you live here.
Right, exactly.
I'm
That's what I'm thinking, that this if whatever prices we have going, or if we agree to different prices during this meeting, if we can always change the prices depending on the activity as the usage increases in a couple of years, we can always increase the prices.
right. I don't think it's outrageous what they're talking about. $3, sure, but keeping it low for residents, I think, is our goal.
Right, exactly. I feel that I don't know how you feel, but I feel that we should charge no more than what Montgomery County charges on the public chargers.
For residents.
Yeah, for residents.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, it makes no sense to have this convenience in here.
I don't think anybody wanted to charge more for residents. I think they were really just trying to up that charge for non-residents.
Right, right. I mean, no, some people were saying too that we could maybe charge a little more for residents. But I just feel like we should charge the same that they could charge in a public charging station.
Right. I agree. I think that clarifying that and really letting people know that there's going to be a penalty. You can't leave your car there all the time. You
Right,
want to
right,
be
right.
charging consistently. So,
That's true. So Alan send me, and I will forward that to you, I guess, during the meeting so you can look at it later. And if you have any thoughts on that, you can, email me or whatever. There's another meeting which is identical to this one on Saturday because I think Natalie said that she could attend that one, just in case someone else wants to attend that one instead. But um, if you have any thoughts, you can send an email and we can discuss that there, even if you don't show up to that meeting. But Alan was well, he did a lot of calculations, mathematical calculations. So he sent me a long email, and he was anyway. There were different factors that he feels that we are missing in calculating the prices, such as insurance, how much more we might be charged for insurance for having the charging stations here on site. I sent an email to Dan Lowry from ComSource to see if it is wise for us to inquire with the insurance company about that because we might be just, asking for trouble. We may have our prices increase. And truthfully, I mean, we don't really anticipate to have a lot of activity on the charging stations, at least right now. We'll see. I mean, but I don't know, whenever we do the next assessment of the property and see if there's when they do the study of the property, if there are any changes, maybe that would be the right time for them to become aware that we have them. So anyway, I don't know. I'm not an expert, so I send the question to Dan, and he hasn't answered me yet. So I mean, the insurance part is up in the air, I guess. But also, Alan was making the point that we will, we should charge more for non-residents, but not just a little bit, like 3 times more than for residents or 4 times more, whatever we decide. And then he was suggesting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That percentage. And then after 6 p.m., he was suggesting that we double that. So to discourage people from coming to the property from parking overnight, because if they come here, they will be here all night,
right.
taking not just using the charging station, but also a parking station, uh, which in the future will be both. Like if you have an EV car, if you are charging it, you also will be using that space as a parking space. And if a non-resident comes at night, that's a parking space as well that won't be available for someone who has an electric car. So I mean, and I think that's a good idea. I just don't know if that's possible to change the rate with the type of charging stations that we have, to change the rate at certain time. I'm not sure. I'll have to send
Well, if
that
you can
question
have the
to.
penalty of someone parking without charging or someone parking and leaving it plugged in beyond the full charge, then I'm sure that there's an option or probably likely option to have it be increased during a certain time frame. Like
Right, right.
quiet hours is normal. You don't want people leaving their car the whole night.
Exactly. And I mean, I agree not wanting strangers during the day, but I guess much less at night. I see his point. I
And I
just,
think that we could even do something like 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Like, sure,
consider that as
come over,
daytime,
visit
you
a
mean?
friend, charge for an hour, but
Say
just
that
as
again. Let me write that down. What are the hours that you're suggesting?
like 8 or 10 to 6 a.m.
Oh, at night. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
So
still allowing for social aspects in the building and the use of non-resident using it after that time. But if it were $3 for a non-resident, it's not going to be appealing in the first place. And then if you
right,
increase it after that, there's no way.
I agree, especially when
Right.
they can do that at the grocery store nearby, or I don't know which other grocery stores have them, but I think around here they have them. I think no one is gonna go maybe to charge overnight in an isolated parking lot in Wheaton Metro, but there are other places with more activity where they could go potentially. Um, I mean, what were you thinking? Price increase from 150, which is the price that we currently suggested to Moscow.
Um, for the non-residents,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm
are you
not
thinking about some
partial on
kind
it.
of are you thinking about some kind of methodology to calculate this, or do you think we should just wing it?
No, I'm thinking if you look at what's an option for if you go to Wheaton and you go to the public parking garage, you only pay 25 cents an hour.
Right.
So anything more than that means it's less likely for someone to do it here unless they're actually visiting somebody here anyway.
Exactly.
$1.50, you would think that would deter sufficiently. Maybe $2 would be enough. $3, it doesn't really matter. People are unlikely to do it unless they're actually visiting somebody here, in
Right.
which case you are deterring people from having their friends get the convenience.
I was gonna say that too because we are thinking about strangers just driving from the highway, whatever, coming here and charging, which is probably unlikely. It would be, as you said, more likely that it would be visitors that we have that for convenience they're charging here while visiting or whatever. Yeah, or maybe even someone who works here. I don't know if those people would consider residents like a worker or something in the future. So that to me that seems pretty unfriendly, but you know,
Yeah. I don't think that the goal, we're not going to make a lot of money off of this. That's not the goal here. The goal is to encourage more residents to be able to feel comfortable
exactly.
buying an electric vehicle.
And the thing is that we can always change that. That whatever price we set is not set in stone. If you don't mind, I'd like to read Alan's email just for the record, so that if since this is being recorded, if other people wants to, whenever they want to watch this, they might just get his opinion. I mean, I don't know. I was having a hard time following his math, so I was hoping that he would um, join this meeting to, explain. Okay, let's see. So he's saying in his email, Alan Bear, who is the treasurer, first check my inputs, which are assumptions, $10,000 in 10 years, for 6 hours per day at 10 cents per kilowatts, 50% revenue share. So he's, I guess, looking at making a 50% revenue. Then check your liability insurance and see if and how it changes for EV charging. And this is what I mentioned earlier that I'm waiting for Dan to respond, and now that I'm looking for Alan's email, I see that he responded, so I'm going to look at that email right now. Then decide whether and what time of day to encourage external users. To encourage external users, set the
May
rates
I
at
interject?
set rates at 1.5 home rates during the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then raise the rates for visitors overnight to twice the home rates from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. If we
So
wish
if
to,
it's,
if we
I'll let
wish
you
to,
finish. I'm sorry.
yeah, if we wish to discourage, then change to higher multiples, like 4 times higher during the day and 8 times higher overnight. So he's saying keep the difference in the future as we raise the prices, just still keep it double the price for outsiders for charging overnight. And check insurance, to encourage or discourage based on insurance risk and payback. And be prepared to adjust based on parking utilization rates, or in other words, issues. And I agree with that. I mean, that's what we were talking about. It's not set in stone. And here is Dan's answer. He's saying that is easy. 0. It has no impact. I see no reason to let them know, but it is a typical item expected to be at a condominium. So he doesn't anticipate that we'll be paying more just for having the charging stations. Based on his experience, he's saying that most condominiums are going to have this, and it shouldn't impact our rates. So, hey, Alan. Hi, Alan.
Hi, oh,
Hi.
sound is working.
Okay. So, I was just reading out loud the email that you sent us with your input about the fees. Rebecca is here, so we're just conducting the meeting just
Did you
with
send
us.
her? Rebecca, did you get a chance to check the arithmetic?
She
I
read
mean,
it to
there's
me,
four-
and if we
there's
think about
four-
it, we're already at those levels of multipliers.
Sorry, my speaker's blown on. I'm trying to log in on my work computer. I'm gonna close the door.
I'm
My
gonna send this
speaker's-
to you now, but yeah, okay.
But like our 25 cents an hour times 4 is the $1 per outside person, right?
Sorry,
That's what
Yeah,
we've already established.
150. Actually, we're
I
charging
can
150.
see your head moving and stuff, but I'm not sure what you're saying.
I was saying currently with the 25 cents for residents, base amount being Montgomery charge prices.
Those are Montgomery. You said Montgomery charges.
Right. So that's what we charge our residents.
Okay, so your basis for the charge is that you're going to model the base it on the Montgomery County charges.
What you could get at a parking lot in Wheaton.
Right. So it's a market based. You can hear me okay, right? Okay, so it's a one way. It's my speaker that's blown. The microphone works. So you're right. And that's one approach, is to do a market based pricing. I think when we set out to do EV, one of the ideas was to not cause people expenses, right? So it wasn't that we were going to do this because from a marketing perspective, it made sense for the community. And we, on behalf, or the committee on behalf, whatever, we, the people who are involved in making decisions, didn't say, we're going to do this, and if it costs the community some money. Anyway, I think we have to be ready for that question. Does this cost the community money?
It doesn't. So Marcela just received a response from Dan indicating that it's not going to increase the cost of insurance. Previous condominiums he's worked with, it has not had a negative factor on their expenses. The low cost we're charging our residents would still have a multiplier of 4 or more for external visitors. So the only reason people might want to use it, as opposed to the one up the street for a fifth of the cost, would be if they were visiting people in the building.
Right. And then that brings it, then you go full circle. You don't want to penalize your friends. So that
Right.
argues
So that's
for
why we're
lowering
at
the
the
price.
$1.25, something reasonable.
I don't know. So anyway, my attempt was to try and quantify what our costs are. Not necessarily, it wasn't a market-based analysis, it was a cost-based. So how much does it cost us to replace it in 10 years? And what's our actual expense and income? Right? Because you
Well,
have
there's
to.
no way to know how much it will cost in 10 years.
Well, what they do in the reserve studies is they simplify that away with an assumption.
Mm-hmm.
You work in today's dollars, because if you start getting into all the inflation escalation, like you can do that, right? If you really want to, but
Sure.
this isn't this is $1.5 million. You're not going to be able to afford someone to analyze escalation risk boundaries over right? They don't do it. So all the reserve studyists just use today's dollars. They budget with today's dollars. And then every 5 years, you adjust your reserve study. So if this is a 10-year item in our reserve study, how much do we need to have in our reserves to replace it?
I think that if it's not a community win in 10 years, it won't get replaced. That likelihood is very, very low. But the replacement is for the benefit of the community as a whole.
I mean, I see both,
All right,
both,
all right, that's fine. I'm done. Thank you. I give up. It was an attempt at introducing an analytic context, but if you want to do it based on that method that you're using, that's, you know,
Well, the other part is we can change these numbers at any point in time. So it's starting out, we just need to get started and then reassess on a biannual, 6-month, quarterly basis.
Are you waiting until these numbers are established? Is that why it's not uncovered?
what do you mean it's not uncovered?
Well,
We're
Rebecca
not
said-
hiding it. We already submitted the prices and we're trying to see if we need to adjust them now. We are not hiding the prices that we're suggesting.
No,
The
hiding
EVs aren't working yet because
the
the program is
plastic.
not
Is the
completed.
plastic around it because of the pricing question?
Oh, no, because they are not turned on yet because Moscow is working with charge point to turn them on.
Well, then I don't understand Rebecca's logic. What's the logic of saying in the midst of this conversation that we have to hurry up? What's the point of that?
All I said was that we want to start using them so we can see. We don't have the data to adjust anything yet until there is actual machines to use and then make adjustments based upon actual usage.
Okay, all right, but you're not opposed to having them pay for themselves, having the EV chargers.
I'm not opposed to the concept, but when you look at it over a long period of time, whether or not it's actually gonna pay for itself is a different conversation. You're suggesting we increase the rates for residents to try to make it pay for itself.
No, I don't know what those numbers are. I made those numbers up. The numbers in my little spreadsheet were from my memory. I have no idea whether they're true or not. I don't know if it's $10,000 or 10 cents a kilowatt hour. I think it's a 50% revenue share. And I think it is 7 kW. I made up 6 hours a day. I don't know whether that's true or not. So I think
Right,
that what you said about check the numbers later, it's good enough. You know, if you start with market and say that's what the market is, it's good. It's a starting point, right?
Right,
Right.
we need more
doesn't
data in
keep-
order to make any sort of assumptions going out long term.
It doesn't keep you from thinking along the model that I've proposed, right? It doesn't, because let's say that, okay, fine. I'm with you and I'll support it. If it comes to a vote, I'll support it, right? Market-based research, that's the price, good. The question still remains, are we gonna make money or lose money? And how do we manage it over time?
Something
Yeah,
like
right.
this in general, I would assume we're losing money.
Say that again, Rebecca?
Well, I think you have to be careful. I mean, I think there are a
Right,
lot
the
of
hope is
people
we
who are
come
like,
close to even, but when you're looking at the whole Green Bank initiative is to try to cover those costs of the assumed loss, right?
are you talking about the green bank or the EV chargers?
The EV, no, I'm saying eco-friendly overall. It's
Right.
generally going to be a little more expensive until we figure out the best way to do it. So
Well, you and I
from
are
this
okay with that.
perspective,
And Marcela's okay with that. The three of us are fine with that. I would say yes, but when it came up in conversation, a lot of people were like, I'm not paying a nickel for that green BS. So this methodology, the way I've proposed it is we're starting out with market pricing, and then as time goes on, we will monitor and manage the thing. You know, that's the right
solidify the
answer.
argument for those who are less inclined.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because people are gonna, you know, argue that we want it to pay for itself.
Right. And
Not only do that, I'm sorry, Marcela.
no, go ahead. We're finished.
I was gonna say that there's two arguments against these. One is we have tight parking spaces, blah, blah. You heard that one. And then they don't want it. And they were like, damn it, you know, if my car gets towed, if I can't get in it, you're gonna hear hell from me, right? That's why I was concerned about what are the rules for managing parking. And then the other argument was, I don't want to pay a nickel for that green, hippy dippy left wing commie stuff. They may not have said that. If it was 20 years ago, they would have said it. Today they have a different version.
No, I mean, I agree with you, and I know because I was in those meetings, and Rebecca was in those meetings when we heard from residents who, did not feel that this was the right improvement to have. But I wanted to make a couple of points, if I may. We heard from Lightility, and it looks like we just received $37,000 from grants and rebates, and the project cost 48,000 plus change. So we are still waiting for some money, but we received a good chunk already, which is great. As soon as we receive the rest, that means, if you guys remember that, if we receive full price, well, not full price, because this project was supposed to cost us at least 2,000 plus from our own packet.
Yeah.
But as soon as we receive all the rebates that we're supposed to receive, remember that the 2,000 plus amount that we paid was going to cover everything for the next 5 years. So we wouldn't be in the red, really. I mean, we will have to get enough revenue, enough to make enough to cover for those $2,000 plus, and so, and all the other thing is that, yeah, I mean, this is up in the air. There are so many factors still in the air because we don't have enough people who have, electric cars. We don't know how much they're going to be used. We don't know how many people from the outside are going to be using them, or how many friends. So a lot of those factors are still up in the air to make a lot of these calculations. But the good thing is that we can always change the numbers. And I think that Alan is I mean, I'm really grateful that he does the math part, because he's the treasurer. He knows about numbers. I'm really not. Math is not my forte. So I feel like I totally respect what Alan is saying, and if he recommends that we charge more at some point for outsiders, I mean, I would support that. I just feel like for residents, at the very least, we should keep the fee the same rate as Pepco. I mean, as Montgomery County charges people in public places, because that's an amenity for us. So why should they pay more here for something they can get cheaper at the public place? And the last thing I wanted to say, to the point that you were making earlier, Alan, about making money. I don't know if I got your point right, but I think that I did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to the point where we needed to make this amenity pay for itself, et cetera, and charge people. I mean, I'm just comparing this, for example, to other amenities that we have, like the pool. For instance, we don't charge people to go into the pool. And I mean, I don't, for example, me, and I'm sure other residents, I never use the pool ever. And it's something that is very expensive to maintain. And whenever we have to repair and do upgrades, that's expensive. And some of my money goes there, even though that's an amenity that I never use. And it's just part of my condo fees pay for, and that's part of the amenities. And so I feel that the same criteria should be applied to the EV stations, because some people are not going to use them, but it's the same thing. It's an amenity that should be supported by everybody. I
Well,
mean,
the bottom line is it's going to be paid. What we put into it, the $2,000, will cover itself with less than 2 years of charging. Like, we've got 5 years of guaranteed time frames, and it's 2 years worth of charging hours covers it. So
2 years worth of charging
time.
hours.
Right. So
Just
hypothetically, if a car were plugged in every day, one of the things, not both. Well, if it's both, then it's within 1 year.
You're saying how many hours a day and
24 hours a day. If you're saying market if we get 50% share of the 25 cents, then within 1 year of both those being used for 1 full year all the time, this is an explanation, then it covers the entire 5 years.
No.
It was a $2,000 cost, where 25 cents a day puts in.
Oh, I see. Your objective is to earn $2,000 in 5 years.
Right. So it's easily accomplished
Okay,
to cover
yes,
our
you
bases.
could earn.
At that point, we can reassess. So we're not, when we're talking to people who are very against the concept, we should keep in mind that we can make up the cost
I
within.
mean, it's not analytically open. I mean, it's a little tricky, right? Because I believe the reason I think it's not analytically honest or open is that I believe it has to be replaced. That device will have to be replaced. And we've only paid for 5 years of maintenance. So if it has a 10-year lifespan, then at year 6, our operating costs go up. We have to pay for maintenance and subscriptions. And then 5 years later, we'll have to replace it. And I tell you what, doing one of these, probably the only thing we should make sure of is that the electricity that we sell, we get paid back at least that much money. So if our cost of electricity is 10 cents, then we have to charge 20 cents.
Right.
Right. At least say that for now, we're going to do that. And then as time goes on, if we find out that these 4 spaces are filled all the time and we're adding, and people have said that once you start this, they'll double every year. 4, 8, 16. Right.
Oh,
Not 4, 8,
you mean we'll need more charging stations because people will be buying more. Right.
People make those sort of.
Right.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I wish it was true. If it was
Right.
true, it would mean all those. Pretty soon I would have an electric car.
Right.
And I'd be wanting a thing in the garage, and God knows what I would want, right?
Right.
But I think we should do it if we can do it. I mean, I had this fantasy where we were going to put it on the street, and that by putting it on the street, we were more involved with the street, and then we could open our back gate. And I had this whole fantasy going that we're going to have 20 car chargers, right? And then our co-generator was going to give us a lower cost of electricity, and we would actually have positive. I do stuff like that, but it's also based on one assumption that the EV cars are cost of. I think that the really fancy ones that can go 400 miles are not environmentally friendly because there's so much investment and carbon footprint in the devices themselves. But I think the little cheap ones that can only go around town, I think those are like cost effective and environmentally effective today. And I wish we had more of those.
Well, we always have the blended ones as well. So
what?
I think what is it
like the
when
Prime?
They accept gas as well as charging.
Like the one that Lee has.
Right.
Who is Lee? Someone
Upstairs.
above you?
She's above. She's got the Prius Prime.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So the other thing, so we should just be careful about how,
right?
Because they're gonna hit us with, you're wasting our money. You're spending money on your green bullshit. And if the argument and the reasoning is, this is just introductory, we're going to start it at the market, see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that most people are okay to raise the prices a little bit for outsiders, right, Rebecca?
Mm-hmm.
I think we are okay with $3. I mean, is that reasonable to you, Alan? Because right now we had suggested $1.50, but $3 seems somewhat reasonable considering that a lot of people who will be using those as outsiders are really visitors of ours or friends of ours.
Can you change the price? We have a parking density issue at night. During the day, if it doesn't affect our insurance, and thank you, I'm sorry to put that burden on somebody else, but it was a thought, right?
Right.
If we were to, so during the day, when we don't have a parking problem, attracting people in would increase the payback on the device.
Right, bring money.
At night, we don't want them competing for our scarce parking
Right,
space.
exactly.
Can you set?
So if we did something like $1.50 during the day and $3 at night, it makes way more sense.
Right.
Because we don't want them here at night.
Exactly. I agree. That's a good idea.
Can you set it that way? Is the system settable?
We think so. We're gonna double check.
I send them the question to Moscow and to the people from Charles Point, and if that's possible, that's a good idea to keep strangers, possibly any strangers, from being in our property at night. I agree.
That too. I didn't even think about the security aspect. I
I
was
agree.
just thinking about the money and the marketing.
I
You know,
agree.
and that's the other thing. People have said that they worry about like strangers coming on the property. Now you've got
Right.
somebody who can drive an electric car on and hang out and check out the property.
Right. Even though I'm sure that not a lot of criminals are going to be able to afford an electric car. If they have enough to buy an electric car, I think they're well off.
That's a fair point.
I'm about to be cut off from this meeting, but if you guys want to continue talking,
No,
it's
good.
fine. Just because this is a free meeting and it cuts me off at some point. But the
Is
other
it
thing,
Zoom?
yeah, it's a Zoom. It's only 45 minutes, and then it cuts the host off. The other thing I wanted to say to you, Alan, is that you were saying that they need to be replaced in 10 years, but that's the other thing that's up in the air, because we don't know if in 10 years there will be other type of rebates from the government to try to reach the deadline that we have. So we don't know if there will be other incentives. So not necessarily would be a 100% investment of the waterfall. We just don't know. I mean, we can assume that, really.
But you can assume something reasonable.
Yeah, we can assume that we'll be
Right.
responsible for some
Yeah.
financial
It's
responsibility.
I don't know if you know this, Rebecca, but we don't know when the drain pipes or the HVAC pipes, or there's one other thing we don't know. We don't know when it's going to fail. Oh, the line pipes. Yeah. So we don't know when it's going to fail. What we do is we stick like 700,000 or $1 million in there for 5 or 10 years out. It's because we don't know, but we know it's a risk. So you could do the same thing on a smaller scale with a charger. Say, I don't know if it's 10,000 or there'll be a subsidy. Make an assumption
Right.
and say, my mental model is, I haven't forgotten about the cost, capital investment aspect of this. We're putting a piece in the next time we do upgrade the reserve study, we'll put some other money in the budget for this line item. And
That's
then
true.
it'll naturally be budgeted.
That's true. You're right.
I don't know. You can double talk this a lot.
But so far, are we agreeing that we leave the fee for residents at the current rate of Montgomery County,
I'm
which
fine.
is 25 cents, and if
Yeah.
they raise it, then we raise it with them. And for outsiders, we are open to make it go higher than what we had agreed before, which was 150. We can go to $3. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not in fact, I recommend the higher one at night,
Okay.
and I would not recommend it during the day. So if you have to keep it at 150 to get people in to use it, then I would say leave it at 150.
And then go at night, double it, like $3, something like that.
If you can't, then I would say just keep with what you have.
Okay.
Honestly, I apologize. I didn't know what you had. I just did the arithmetic myself and wanted to share it with your committee or the committee.
No, that's good. I mean, what you're saying is respectable. You are the treasurer, and not only that, but you're good in math. You're good doing. I think no one else does the calculations that you do. So I mean, I'm grateful because it's another perspective that's very valid.
Science. It's a sciencey thing.
Yeah, and I'm saying not a lot of us do it. I think you do it, and Luis.
Did we ever get an answer to our question on the remember I asked that question, is it truly cost effective with the energy efficiency and the incentives? Right? Because he's always just said to us, oh, you have to do it all. And I said,
Who are you talking about? You're talking about the ERA thing?
Yeah, ERA. Did he give us an answer to that question? Because I wanted to break down in units of efficiency or energy, whatever, to incentives to prove that we must do the whole project. Right? Because, did he answer us, do you think?
I think he did. I think obviously he said that, yes.
I haven't been on my email. I've been worried with that stupid, that system called NOTAMs, Notice to Airmen?
What is that?
It was when they grounded all the airplanes for 1.5 a day.
Oh.
I think we got really excited about that system. So
Oh
I've
yeah,
been really-
you are involved with that, aren't you?
yeah.
I heard that in like Ronald Reagan Airport, they stop what is it called? No flight, whatever, if
No,
a while
everybody
back.
was shut
Why was that? The person in charge
because
of that was in
the old
Congress. Why?
the 20-year-old database was the guy who was sick, he was inexperienced, and he was trying to patch it overnight.
Oh,
And I saw the little log entries where he was trying to undo his update, and he
oh
couldn't
wow.
do it, and it took the whole system down nationwide. So it's nonstop at work.
How long ago was that? Like recently, right? Like a
Mm.
week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago?
Mm.
What? When?
Feels like yesterday.
Wow.
So I haven't even checked my email, but they're gonna cut you off. And
Yes.
thank you both for listening to my stupid perspective.
No, it's not
Yours
stupid.
is better. It's simple to explain, and it's